If you wake up every night around 3 a.m., eyes wide open in the middle of the dark, feeling your heart beating faster than it should, you might think it's just coincidence or stress, or maybe that the neighbor's dog barked again, but what if it isn't just a random wake-up call? What if your brain is actually trying to tell you something deep, buried beneath your waking consciousness, something that your daytime thoughts are too busy to notice but your night self cannot ignore? For centuries, across cultures and beliefs, the hour between 3 and 4 a.m. has been known as the witching hour, the time when the veil between worlds thins and the mind's hidden truths rise from the subconscious. Modern science might dismiss that as superstition, yet neuroscience and psychology reveal that waking at this exact time could be your body's way of sounding an alarm, not of ghosts or spirits, but of unresolved emotions, unprocessed trauma, or even physical imbalance that your mind translates into a nightly summons. You see, during sleep, our brain cycles through patterns of deep rest and light awareness, allowing emotional memories to reorganize. But if your brain senses something wrong, like rising anxiety, cortisol spikes, or unhealed grief, it snaps awake at the same hour every night like a broken clock. The ancient Chinese concept of the body's energy meridians also aligns with this. Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., the lung meridian is most active, connected to grief, sadness, and the ability to let go. That means waking up around this time isn't random, it's your inner self processing pain or signaling emotional suffocation, like you're breathing but not truly alive in your days. It might not be a demon whispering in your ear, but maybe it's your soul screaming for air. Imagine this. You've been going through life trying to hold everything together, responsibilities, relationships, appearances, yet each night your body betrays the illusion of control. The world sleeps, but your mind stirs. You wake up at exactly 3:07 a.m., the air thick and silent, your body alert like it just escaped danger. You roll over, check your phone, and curse the clock, but it happens again the next night, and the next, and soon you begin to wonder if there's something sinister about it. At first, you think maybe it's caffeine or stress, but then you start noticing patterns. Every time it happens, your dreams before waking are strange, running down endless corridors, being chased, falling, or seeing people you've lost long ago. These aren't random images, they're your subconscious language. Dream psychologists say that when you repeatedly wake during REM sleep, it's often because your brain is trying to integrate unresolved emotional experiences. You may be ignoring your intuition in the day, but your night self refuses to. It wants you to pay attention. It wants you to heal. There's science to this. Around 3 a.m., cortisol, the stress hormone, begins to rise to prepare the body for waking. But if you've been under chronic stress or emotional suppression, the cortisol surge becomes overactive, jolting you awake too soon. Your body thinks it's defending itself. From what, though? Maybe from the truth you don't want to face. A toxic job, a broken relationship, unspoken guilt, or even a life unlived. Your nervous system doesn't lie, it holds every memory, every fear. So that 3 a.m. wake up might be your brain's SOS signal. It's not punishing you, it's begging you to notice. Because if you won't listen in daylight, your subconscious will drag you from your dreams to make you feel what you've buried. Let's talk about the emotional side first. Humans are masters of pretending. We tell ourselves we're fine, we move on from pain before we've processed it. And we wear smiles that hide the cracks underneath. But the brain doesn't forget. Unprocessed emotion becomes trapped energy, and that energy needs release. When you wake up at 3 a.m., your logical defenses are down, and that trapped energy surges to the surface. It could come as racing thoughts, a tight chest, tears for no reason, or a silent panic you can't name. That's your body trying to purge emotional toxins. It's like your mind's garbage disposal kicking on when the rest of the world sleeps. Each night it whispers the same message. Something inside you needs attention. The longer you ignore it, the louder it gets, until waking at 3 a.m. becomes habit, a nightly confrontation between you and the truths you refuse to face. Then there's the spiritual theory, that 3 a.m. is a moment of heightened awareness, a time when spiritual frequencies align with human consciousness. Whether or not you believe that, the symbolism is striking. The night is still, distractions are gone, and your mind is open. Some spiritual teachers say waking up at 3 a.m. means the universe or your higher self is trying to communicate, a call to awaken, literally and figuratively. You're being nudged toward transformation, toward letting go of old versions of yourself. The pain, the anxiety, the insomnia, they're not punishments, they're birth pains of a deeper awakening. Maybe your soul is restless because you're living a life too small for it. But let's not forget the physical side. Sometimes, the 3 a.m. wake-up has physiological roots. Blood sugar dips, dehydration, sleep apnea, or liver detox cycles can all trigger midnight arousals. The liver, according to Chinese medicine, works hardest between 1 and 3 a.m., processing toxins and emotions alike. If you've been drinking too much, eating late, or carrying emotional poison, your liver, both physically and energetically, might jolt you awake. But even then, it's a warning. The body speaks the language of symptoms when it can't speak words. So instead of seeing 3 a.m. awakenings as a curse, see them as messages. Ask yourself, what am I holding onto that I should let go of? Who or what is suffocating my peace? Why do I feel safer awake in the dark than asleep in my own mind? The most haunting part is how consistent it can be. Many people who wake up at 3 a.m. describe the same eerie stillness, the silence that feels heavy, like the world is holding its breath. Some say they feel watched, others feel inspired. That's the fascinating paradox. For some, 3 a.m. is terror, for others, revelation. Artists, poets, and inventors have long credited those lonely hours for their greatest insights. Maybe creativity and fear share the same doorway, the one that opens when the conscious mind rests and the subconscious awakens. Maybe your brain isn't trying to scare you at all, maybe it's trying to free you. Imagine lying there, heart racing, unable to fall back asleep. You grab your phone, scroll through meaningless feeds, anything to silence the discomfort. But what if, instead, you listened? What if you let the silence speak? You might realize that the anxiety you feel isn't random, it's grief you've been avoiding. Maybe you never truly mourned that loss, or maybe you've been living out of alignment with who you are. The mind is brilliant at disguising pain as busyness, but the night strips those disguises away. At 3 a.m., there's no one to perform for, no mask to wear. It's just you and the truth. And that's terrifying, but also freeing. Because awareness is the first step toward healing. People often describe a feeling of download during these hours, like ideas, memories, or realizations flood their minds. It's not mystical, it's neurological. The default mode network in the brain, responsible for introspection and memory, becomes highly active during periods of quiet wakefulness. So if you're suddenly recalling childhood memories, questioning your choices, or feeling deep clarity at 3 a.m., that's your brain's maintenance crew working overtime, trying to integrate pieces of you that got scattered in the chaos of life. It's as if your mind is saying, hey, we can't carry this anymore. Let's clean house. Some psychologists even believe the 3 a.m. phenomenon mirrors early survival instincts. Our ancestors were more alert during the darkest hours to guard against danger. Today, that instinct remains, but instead of tigers, the threats are internal: self-doubt, regret, fear of failure. Your amygdala, the brain's fear center, doesn't know the difference between physical and emotional threats, so it wakes you when it senses one. That's why people with anxiety or suppressed guilt often find themselves jolted awake, heart pounding, with no visible cause. Your brain is guarding you from your own silence. But here's the beautiful part. You can turn that curse into a doorway. When you wake at 3 a.m., instead of fighting it, breathe. Place a hand on your chest and ask yourself what your body is feeling. Is it sadness, fear, loneliness? Don't analyze, just feel. That simple act of awareness signals safety to your nervous system. Over time, your brain learns it doesn't need to wake you to process emotions, it can do it while you sleep. Healing begins not by forcing sleep, but by honoring what's awake within you. For many, the 3 a.m. awakening marks the beginning of change. They start journaling at that hour, meditating, or reflecting. Some discover buried desires, to change jobs, end toxic ties, move to new places. Others face long-ignored pain, childhood wounds, guilt, or creative callings they abandoned. That's when they realize, the brain isn't their enemy. It's their guide. It wakes them not to torture them, but to remind them they're alive and not living fully. The darkness, then, becomes a teacher. Every night, it whispers, there's more for you, if you're brave enough to listen. But ignoring the signs can be costly. Chronic 3 a.m. awakenings, left unexplored, can evolve into insomnia, anxiety disorders, or even depression. The body can't keep shouting forever. When you don't listen, it shuts down instead. That's why awareness is vital. When you start acknowledging your emotions, setting boundaries, expressing truths you've swallowed, you'll notice you sleep deeper. The brain stops needing to wake you. Peace replaces panic. Healing replaces haunting. There's also an energetic perspective worth noting. In metaphysics, 3 a.m. symbolizes transition, between night and dawn, death and rebirth, endings and beginnings. Perhaps that's why so many people experience spiritual awakenings after periods of 3 a.m. insomnia. The old self dissolves, the new one hasn't formed yet, and the in-between feels unbearable. But like a cocoon, transformation happens in darkness. Your sleeplessness isn't punishment, it's preparation. So, what should you do if this keeps happening to you? First, rule out physical causes. Avoid alcohol, caffeine, and late heavy meals. Regulate your sleep environment. Then look within. Ask what in your waking life feels off. Are you suppressing emotions? Living someone else's version of happiness? Carrying guilt or fear you never released? Start journaling the moment you wake. Write whatever comes up, no matter how random. Over days, patterns will appear, themes your subconscious keeps revisiting. Those are your messages. Listen to them. Next, practice nighttime compassion. When you wake, don't panic about lost sleep. That anxiety fuels the cycle. Instead, breathe deeply, stretch, maybe sip water, and tell yourself, it's okay. My body is safe. Over time, this rewires your nervous system, signaling that you don't need to stay on alert. And if deeper emotional pain surfaces, don't face it alone. Therapy, meditation, or spiritual mentorship can help you decode the messages safely. The truth is, your brain is not broken. It's brilliant. It knows exactly what you need, even when you don't. The 3 a.m. wake-up is its language of urgency, its flare gun in the night sky saying, you're carrying too much. Let's heal this together. Once you start honoring that message, forgiving, releasing, realigning, you'll notice something magical. The 3 a.m. awakenings stop. You'll sleep through the night again, not because your brain gave up, but because it finally feels heard. So the next time you wake in the middle of the night, don't reach for your phone, don't curse the clock. Sit with the silence. Listen to the hum of your own breath. Maybe your body is whispering a truth you've ignored too long. Maybe the darkness isn't your enemy, but your mirror. Because sometimes, the most important conversations with your soul happen when the world is asleep, and you're wide awake, at 3 a.m., standing at the edge between who you've been and who you're meant to become.